somebody get denied, sometimes they know what they did wrong. And because they want that pity party, when they are writing their transcripts, they will not put what they did wrong there. Hi, bestie. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Ola, and on this channel, I provide tips on how you can move from whatever country you are to your destination abroad. So, in today's video, I will be talking about visa because I am aware that we are currently in a visa interview. So, we'll be talking about visa, and I know that some of you have gone for your visa and you were initially rejected, and then you are downcast. Do not be downcast because I brought somebody that has been in the shoe that you are currently in and she'll be talking to us in today's video. So without any further ado, we'll jump right into the video. So before I go on, before I give her like the opportunity to introduce herself, I would say that even if you have not gone for your visa, even if your visa has not been rejected, you can learn one or two things that can prevent your visa from getting rejected. So I said that to say that this video is not for only people that their visa has been rejected. Anybody can learn from it. So I just wanted to put that out there. So I'm going to pass the baton to you, Grace, for you to introduce yourself. And before you do that, I just want to say thank you so much for, for joining me on today's video. Thank you so much for coming on here with me. I really, really appreciate it. And I am sure that my subscribers appreciate it as well. So I'm going to, pass the baton to you for you to give us like an introduction of yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. My name is Grace. I'm a master's student in gerontology at the Georgia State University, and I'm currently based in Georgia. Thank you.
Can you share what your first F1 visa experience was like?
My first F1 visa experience, I think, is actually a day I will never forget. One thing I would say is that in as much as you have your admission, you have your scholarship and everything, don't just rush and say, oh, you want to start applying for your visa without proper preparation. So I would say prior to my visa interview, I would say I didn't really prepare well because I actually never knew what I was, what I was going to experience. So
Because this was your first experience, right?
yeah, it was my first experience. I actually saw people's transcripts, this and that. I was like, what question do they want to ask me? I don't, I've read everything, you understand? So June 22nd came, my visa interview was for, I think 6:30, if I'm not mistaken. So I did my visa interview in Lagos. One thing I would say is that place looks like, you know, Judgment Day. It was like Judgment Day because you have to be moving from rooms to rooms to rooms to rooms before you actually get to the view. And one thing I would say is once you get there, there's no how you'll be tense. That's just the way the atmosphere is.
Yeah.
I think it's they've always mentioned something like go to this view, don't go to this view. I would suggest that you don't try that because these views are watching. And once they feel like you're trying to like run away from them, it might actually be that they would be the one to interview you. And at the end of the day, they might end up, they might
Because they
end
have
up
an opinion of you already.
exactly, they might end up denying you. So I got called by the visa officer. And I think the question, if I can remember vividly, the question she asked me was, what motivated me, you know, to do this program? What school am I going to? Why this program and all and all. I think one thing that probably affected me was I actually went to the embassy cramming my answers. So at some point, I'd already crammed and it was as if the fuel has finished. I do not know what to say again. Thinking about it, everything I was not saying doesn't just make sense again because I can't remember what was the one sentence to one sentence because I
And when
was
you
already
come something, that's what you want. You want to make sure that everything is aligning.
exactly. So I was already disoriented. I was already, disorganized and everything. So I don't know. Then she said, okay, I think I remember. She also mentioned that I actually studied nutrition and I'm actually going for gerontology. Like, what is actually the correlation between my study and her? But then I mentioned it to her that there's actually a correlation. I actually did a course that, But then at the end of the day, after the whole, even I was even shouting, I did this, I did that. Even people were hearing me because, you want to. By the end of the day, she denied me. But then that was how that was how we went. I collected the blue paper. There's always the blue paper, there's the white paper, there's this. So one thing is, until you give them reason not to deny you, the blue paper is always in front. So until you can convince them that, okay, I deserve this visa, that is when you get the approval paper, which is the white paper. Yeah. Thank you.
And I think you said a very good thing. I think you said the right thing with you have to convince them. You don't want to assume that they know anything. That thing
Mm.
that you think that they know, you have to say it out. You might have like a good profile, you might have scholarship, you might have everything. And I like the fact that we're actually having this discussion because somebody kept it on like a comment on my YouTube um page, like 2 or 3, no, 2 weeks, or probably this week or last week. And the person was like, oh, once you have fully funded scholarship, it is easy for you to get the visa. I'm like, they play. They play. They play. You have to also prepare and be willing to convince them that you actually deserve the visa. The second
Mm.
question I was going to ask, I think you kind of already answered it because I was going to ask that what do you think went wrong during the first interview? But I think you kind of already summed it up with saying, oh, you were not adequately prepared for the interview because honestly, it's your first time. No matter how prepared you think you might be, nobody can fully capture the experience for you until you go there and then you see things
Not yet.
yourself. Yes. And then
Mm.
the old tense thing, I'm not going to lie to you. I mostly say, oh, be confident, my dear. You will be tense. You just have to, you see, this is the time where you have to be talking to yourself. I was on that, I was like, God, please. I was just praying inwardly. I was like, God, please, oh, I have come here. Oh, like all those battles. But yeah, definitely you'll be tense, but also, kind of like talk to yourself. Okay. So I'm just going to jump to the third question. Were there specific questions or moments during the interview that made you feel like things were not going as planned? Yeah.
I think first of all, before I started the interview, I was already tensed. My voice was already shaky.
Mm-hmm.
And the visa officer was not talking properly. So for
Ah.
every question she was asking me, I was telling her to repeat herself. So I think when I knew I was not going to get it was when she asked me a question because I never expected that question. Was when she asked me a question that what is actually the correlation between my course, what I did in my undergraduate and what I'm going for. Because I didn't actually prepare for that kind of question. So I could only say what I know I could say. But then and I feel like probably she doesn't even know what the course is and everything and the correlation. So it was at that point I knew, you know what? She just
That you knew you fucked up.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
But something I'm grateful for God for is like we can look back at those moments and then we can
Mhm.
laugh because honestly, like I'm just grateful for God, honestly. So, how would you say that you felt when your visa was denied? Like, what was your immediate reaction? I know you said you did not cry, but what was like your immediate reaction? How did you feel?
to be very honest, after she gave me the blue paper, at that moment I was numb,
Mm-hmm.
not feel my emotions. So I didn't know if I was angry, I was sad, I was
Mm-hmm.
this or so immediately I collected the blue paper. What the first thing I did was I hid the blue paper in my bag because I didn't want anybody say, sorry, ma, ekpele ma. Maybe that was at that moment. Maybe if I had seen somebody saying, sorry, ma, ekpele ma, maybe I would have
That's how you
busted
would have cried, yeah.
yes and everything. So one thing I did was I kept the blue paper in my bag and I was fake smiling. Like I went outside and I was trying to like smile like I got the visa. And funny thing is somebody also got denied and I was still like encouraging the person that sorry oh, that you got your visa denied and everything. I didn't show my emotions and everything. It was when I got to my hotel room that day and friends started calling me and everything. At that point, I just busted into tears. Like I just cried. But then the rest, like I said, the rest is history.
All right. We are grateful to God. God, we are grateful.
Yeah, I agree with
So
God.
now that the first interview was denied, I
Yeah.
think majority of people once their first interview is denied, because honestly, I'm not going to lie, any interview requires a lot of emotions. Like your whole mind is there. And because you don't want to get negative, you want to get positive, your whole mind is already there. How were you able to still be motivated? Because I remember we were talking all through that period, and then you were like, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try again. I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to get it and all. So I remember that, we were in communication then. How were
Mhm.
you able to still get motivated to go the second time? Because I know some people will be like, I'm done with US. I'll probably look into other countries. What motivated you?
One thing I would say is in my, my study abroad journey, God has been there for me.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I would say is God would not just leave me. I mean, He would not just start something and just leave me because I know that my admission was a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that visa that I cannot do? So at that point, what motivated me was in everything, I should give thanks to God.
Yeah.
It does not have to be during only when things are rosy. Even during the bad times, I was still praising God, thanking God, and everything. So what really motivated me is I have come this far to now want to give up. It's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
Even even the devil will make jest of me.
Yeah.
So what motivated me was I knew that okay, it is still possible. I can still do it. God still has my back, and I just took that opportunity. Yeah.
I'm sure, like, even me, I'm glad that you did not give up, and I'm sure that you are glad that you did not give up, because look at
Mm.
you now. Like, literally, I'm sure you cannot even remember. I mean, when you talk about it, maybe you can remember, but like right now, like those emotions are nothing anymore, because you eventually got what you were looking for. And that is what I tell people, like, even with admission rejection, please don't give up. Keep trying,
Mhm.
keep pushing. But again, you can always, like, change how you are approaching things, but just make sure that you're not giving up. Not giving up does not mean that you should not be, how would they say this thing? You should not think reflectively. Is it introspection? Yes, you should not go
Mhm.
into an introspection of, okay, am I the one that did something wrong, or the
Mhm.
system just screwed me up? Because there are some people that, okay, it's the system that screwed them up. It's not like they necessarily did anything wrong. Once you identify that you did something wrong, please, please, and please change your approach.
Mhm.
Um, so what steps did you take to prepare for your second interview?
Before my second interview, I discovered that I think there were some errors on my DS 160. And somebody was telling me maybe that was the reason they denied you and everything, but I just still smiled. One thing I would say is, and the mistake I made was my first time was I was at different people, you know, this person is organizing mock interview, I am there. This person is organizing mock interview, I'm there. And at the end of the day, there's this conflicting, you need to change this, you need to change that, you need to change this. So what I did was in my second interview, I made sure that it is just one group mock interview I'm attending. I don't want any conflicting. Okay, this should be like this, it should be like that. So that was what I did. And also, when it comes to my transcript, rather than I decided to own my story
Mhm,
rather than having to like cry
mhm,
because no one knows your story better than you.
mhm.
So I decided to own my story. I have this notebook where I wrote possible questions down, and when at that point when I decided to own my story, everything just began to just flow naturally. So to the extent that even if they had tapped me in the midnight, that Grace, why are you going to this thing? I would say it without having to like, oh, I forgot something, I didn't include something anymore. So one thing I would say is own your story. Don't go to the visa embassy looking like you cramped. You can actually tell your story better. Yeah.
Yeah. And you kind of also already answered the next question, because I was going to say, did you make any changes to your document or your approach during your second attempt? But like with everything you just said, obviously you made changes to your approach. Something else I would say is, like, I feel like there's this thing that people say that does not make sense. People say, oh, if you were denied the first time, you obviously get denied the second time. That's it.
Mm.
Like, Grace is not even the only person that I know that was denied the first time. Like, I've done an interview with somebody when I just started this YouTube channel. I'm also going to pop that up on the screen. She talked about how she was denied the first time, and then the second time she got it. So please don't allow. I feel like when you start allowing that, when that stays in your consciousness, at the end of the day, you are honestly just doing I don't know how to put it because you kind of already believe in that. So I don't know how a miracle is supposed to happen for you if you kind of already believe in the negative. So I would say don't stay away from those type of thoughts that if you are denied before, you will continually get denied. No, if you change your approach, you change how you show up to things, exactly what she said, then you will definitely get it the second time.
Yeah, don't allow, one thing I would just say is don't allow fear from people. Try to like block your ears from the noise. If you try to like block your ear from the noise, you won't get scared. You won't be afraid. Yeah.
Okay, so what lessons did you learn from your first interview that helped you in your second interview?
So, I think, like I mentioned, make sure that for your documents,
Mhm,
make sure that you don't just give one person to review for you.
mhm.
I think the mistake I made was, one of the mistakes I made was I only gave one person to check. Make sure that you give at least two, three people to actually check for you. And what I also did was, like I said previously, make sure that you're not jumping from one mock interview sections to another. Because
Yeah.
like I said, once you're jumping from one mock interview sections, somebody is correcting you, you're adjusting. You join the other one, you're correcting. At some point, you will get confused. At some point, it will actually look like you don't even know what you're doing. Other thing I would just say is, in as much as when you get to the and one thing is, once you get to the visa officer, you could actually tell her that you could actually make her know that you're tense and you would like her to like go slowly. These people they're also human beings. Do not see them as gods. I think the first time I saw them like gods, and it was literally like, if you don't have visa, if you don't get your visa for the US, it's like your life is over. Blah blah. It's like your life is over. But no, don't see them as gods. They're also human beings. These people are psychologists. They will try to like play on your intelligence, but then you should be in charge. So once you get to the visa officer, try to be calm. They are humans, they understand. They are no animals. They are no witches and wizards.
That got me. So would you say that the visa officer asked you the same questions or different ones during your second interview?
Uh, well, I think like I mentioned, it was after I got to the US, it was as if you know,
They wiped your
they
memory.
wiped my brain. That was a way. So I think for my second interview, I think the first question I was praying that she wasn't going to ask was what has changed.
In your application.
Apparently, I went with the same profile. And people used to say something like, if you've gone with the first profile, make sure that something is changing during your second time. I mean, if you've gone with it during your second visa interview. So apparently she asked me what has changed in the last time. But then when she asked what has changed, I had to reiterate. There are some times that they might not know that you have an assistantship. There are some times that they might not know that you have a scholarship because they are attending to like thousands of people a day, and they might not have gone through it. So I had to reiterate to them that I got this scholarship, I got this, I got that. I had to put that forward because people told me that I needed to put that forward. So they asked me what has changed. I was asked why this program, and make sure, like I said, own your story. When people go to the when Nigerians actually go to the embassy, they know the answers they're expecting because everybody comes with the same answer. So
Mhm.
what me I decided to do is, rather than the generic, I am coming back to study, blah, 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 I changed it. I fine-tuned it into my own words that it doesn't look the same to them. It doesn't look like what they've been
What they've
hearing.
heard before, yeah.
Exactly. Because at some point they get tired hearing the same thing over and over again. So one thing I would just say is own your story. Say it as it is. It doesn't have to follow the normal trend you see on transcripts and the likes. It's your story. So own it, yeah.
All right, thank you so much. So what was your immediate reaction when you found out that you were approved?
Hmm. That day was like the best day of my life. So after the whole interview and, you know, she asked me question, funny thing is, I already got that confirmation.
Mhm.
See, in this study abroad journey, please take God very serious. it would actually make the journey very smooth for you. But if you don't take him serious, you're just doing anyhow, and at some point you might just get frustrated, and God actually has something in store for you, but because you're already tired and oh, you just miss it. So prior to my interview date, I already got that confirmation that I was going to get approved. And immediately immediately she finished asking me that question, she just turned her back. And
Mhm.
like I said, the blue paper is always in front, and
Mhm.
she give them reasons to convince them. So immediately she just stretched her hand to the approval paper, to the white paper. And I created a scenario at I
What of
created
you?
like, no, not in front of the view, actually. After the view said something like, we'll make sure that your passport is ready before your resumption, because my resumption is just 5 days. After she said it, I just told her, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the next thing she smiled and I left. So immediately I was out of the visa embassy. I just shouted out like, Jesus, thank you. Like, people knew that day that they approved somebody's visa that day. And the next thing, I just busted into tears.
Mhm.
And that tears, I called my parents, and my parents were like, "Why are you crying?" I said, "I'm not crying because I'm happy, this, and that." And man, I just thank God. Like, I
Mhm.
just thank God. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh Lord, it's making me recount my own story because oh my God, like I mean, like the moment they give you, like they are talking and then they are giving you the paper as well, and then they are like, oh, we are holding your passport and whatever. So when she gave me, obviously you have to leave because there are obviously a lot of people behind you that are waiting to be interviewed. So
Mhm.
immediately I got to like the security people, I was gasping for breath. I was like, the man had to tell me that calm down, calm down, calm down. Did you get it? He was like, it's white paper, you got it. I was like, hey, I know. I was even telling the man, I said, hey, I know. But I'm like, so I've gotten this as a no, like, no, 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 like that approval is just a miracle. Honestly, if you've not listened to my visa story, I'm also going to pop it on the screen. It's actually a miracle. And we thank God. Like she said, you need to be close to God. Like, it's not even just because of your study abroad, you need to be close to God, okay? You did your first interview in Lagos, right?
Yeah.
Your second interview was in Abuja.
It was in Abuja. Yeah.
So are there any common misconception or myths about the F1 visa process that you would like to address? And I think you kind of already started talking about it, about how people see them as God when they are literally humans. But
Mhm.
like, are there like any other misconception that you think, should be addressed?
Yeah. I think another misconception is um people say something like they approve more people in Lagos, they don't approve more people in Abuja. If you were denied the first time in Lagos and you have the opportunity to go back to Lagos, please go back to Lagos. I've seen people that they were denied the first time in Lagos and they went back to Lagos, they got approved. It is not, the visa approval
Please, yeah.
is not location based. So if you can afford to go back to where you did your first interview, go back to it. And if you feel like you need to like switch things up, you just want like a different experience, then you can decide to like, go to a different experience.
Something else I would also say is particularly, and this particularly goes to people that have been denied. I know, like, you've probably read people's transcript online, and then you're like, oh, I'm not finding what this person did wrong. Always remember that, like, when somebody get denied, sometimes they know what they did wrong. And because they want that pity party, when they are writing their transcripts, they will not put what they did wrong. They want people to come and say, oh, we cannot see anything wrong in what you just wrote. So please, everything you say on the internet, except you know the person personally, and the person is saying, okay, this is my experience. Everything
Mm.
internet, to take it with a little bit of like, don't allow everything get to you, because I feel like that's, yeah, I just wanted to like put that out there.
Yeah, one thing again is people try to like, there's some things that people remove from their transcript.
Hmm.
It might not be the total truth.
Yeah,
So things people remove their transcript so that you will probably not start judging them and the likes and the like, but deep down within them.
they know what they did. Yes,
Mhm.
and that's why some of them, they keep going to a second time, they keep rejecting them, is because they
Mhm.
know what they did, and that thing is already permanent. For instance, if you lied in your DS-160 at first and you keep going back, it's the same DS-160. Even if you
Exactly.
change it, they still have that record of the DS-160.
Mhm.
So is hard for you to imitate somebody like that. The
Mm-hmm.
third thing I would say, I know you said you talked about like the misconception about people saying, oh, they give more in Lagos, they give more in Abuja. Honestly, some people will say they give more in Lagos, but people will come and say they give more in Abuja. I don't think it is location based, like she said. So choose, I don't want to say choose your struggle, but choose your success story. Let's revamp it and say choose your success story. So the final question, what advice would you give to someone preparing for their F1 visa?
Okay. So my advice would be that after you have your necessary documents, the first thing you have to start filling is your DS-160. That is what the visa officer will, that's what, let me just say, is your identity, sort of. They don't know anything about you. It is whatever you put on your DS-160. That is what they're actually going to use, to assess you. So one thing I would say is that when you are filling your DS-160, fill it carefully. Don't rush. And also one thing I would say is seek external help from people that might have actually gone through this journey. They know better. You can't say, this is it, this is that. Be willing to listen to advice. Be flexible. Don't be rigid. Another thing I would say is that go through, there are also channels where you will see transcript of people, likely questions. Most of the questions are always the same thing, you know. So there are actually channels where you can just go through and check likely questions. Once you check the likely questions, you start preparing your answers. You won't get the answers immediately. It is when you sit down and you think so deep, that is when you start constructing your answers. When you are able to like construct your answers, do like a personal interview, like a personal preparation. Face the mirror. People always tell me that face the mirror and start talking to yourself. It builds that kind of confidence. Just face the mirror and you're looking like it's a VO that you're talking to. Once you face the mirror and you feel like, okay, you are doing your interview, your preparation, you've done it the first time, the second time, the third time. If you can just call any of your friends or somebody and tell them, you know what, I think I've prepared enough for my interview. Can you ask me questions? I think I remember calling Ola at that time that, okay, come and take me, come and ask me questions and all. So talk to your friends. They can also be of help.
Yep.
And like I said initially, if you can join, you know, mock interview groups, they'll be willing to. There are people who are willing, they sacrifice their sleep, to be able to like do it because they've also gone through that phase of life. Just combine everything with prayer and
Yeah.
the rest they say it's going to be history.
Yes, thank you so much, Grace. Really appreciate your time and your efforts coming to my channel to talk. If you watched to this point, please say thank you so much, Grace, because again, I do not pay these people. They come out of the kindness of their hearts. So say thank you to her. And I wish you all the best with your visa interview. Please remember everything that was said there. They are not God. Let God be God. Don't replace visa officers with God. They are
Mhm,
not God. Talk to God. Do your own preparation. That is very important. Do your own
mhm,
preparation. Be very careful when you're filling your DS-160. Um, when you fill it out, before you hit submit, send it to people, let them proofread it for you. Send it to more than one person because if one person's eye is not catching it, another person's eye would definitely catch it. Also,
mhm,
just be sincere with your story. You do not have to lie. Be sincere with your story and trust that God will make it happen. What God cannot do does not exist. And the Bible says, is there anything that is too difficult for him to do? Absolutely nothing. So if God has brought you this far, if God has allowed you to get the admission, then
mhm,
visa is not too difficult for him to help you
mhm.
achieve. So I wish you all the best with your visa interview. Please come back and share your success story. And if you have any question, drop it in the comments box. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. And I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye, people.
Bye.